You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Now, welcome back to the Insight Fantasy Sports channel for some more AFL fantasy today. As you can see, and as you might have seen on my Twitter, a bit of a different sort of schedule reshuffle. We're making this a preview show now rather than a review, just because come Sunday afternoon or Sunday night, Monday, I personally am all footied out. I don't know about you. Games finishing, especially those West Australian ones at 10 or 11 p.m. on those days, and then Monday as well, you just want a small break. So I've decided we're going to start recording these on the Wednesday night to get uploaded on the Thursdays, just before everyone has to lock in their trades and just before the first of our games. So I hope you guys are happy with that. Let me know what you think, if you need me to go back to the review shows, whatever. But it should be a pretty similar sort of deal anyway, with what we go over in terms of trades and all those kind of things. So without further ado, I will give a quick sort of review on how my team went in round 15. So it's a 18-30 for me, which could be worse, I suppose, with the state that my team is in. Big shout out to my man Luke Jackson. This is why you need to be following the Twitter down there at BK_IFS, because I was drilling into everyone even before the news that Sean Darcy was out came in, is that you need to get this guy because he is going to score points. He'll be average, I think around 100. He'll be a top 6 forward, and you have to get him. If you're brave enough, vice captaining him, which is what I did, and he was the highest scorer of the week. So well done, Luke. Welcome to the team, I suppose. I'll go over my trades first. So I traded in Sheasel for Ashcroft. Ashcroft dropped a 108, I think it was, against the Cats. Just untagged. I think they've got to start looking more at him, like some McCluggage, ones like that, rather than Neil now, because those are the real guys doing the damage. But anywho, he was going to get traded out this week anyway. He's not a keeper, and he's obviously got the bye this week. So just went early on him. That's annoying. Trade in Sheasel, went 116. He's going to be doing this kind of thing for the rest of the season now. Obviously Jackson in for Rankin, who was on the bye. Also has a terrible record against Richmond, who he's versing this week, which is worth bringing up. And made a rookie reshuffle. Hardiman into McCurch. A shame about Hardiman. That's another terrible pick for me. Trade him off to the buy for a 33, 41, 57. Still got me a little bit of cash, but not at all what we want to be seeing. And a couple low scores in there. Merritt, my God, what are Essendon doing? Losing games, playing him on wings, backs, forward, getting tagged, all sorts for him. It's going to be the first season, and I think it's 10 years where he doesn't average 100 unless something changes for Zach. Bolton was a risky pick. He got me that 102 before his bye. And then a couple of 50s means he's out, not getting that midfield time. And Holmes decimated by the Mighty Lions. Rosie got a little bit of a tension from James Jordan. We sort of saw that coming, but he'll still be a top 6 back. And a little bit more attention on some other stuff. So I suppose for the round upcoming, that's what we're doing now. We're previewing the round rather than reviewing it. We're looking at my trades. So on that, I have gone with the decision of trading Merritt out just to free up some funds and to make some numbers, because Smith and Martin you can't touch, Zorko you can't touch, Holmes I don't think you can touch. He'll be bashing up and forward all season, and he's just found his straps with a few nice 100 scores. Richmond after the bye, easy run for the Cats as well. So Holmes I didn't want to drop, and Merritt's just been a bit confusing, bit of a hard watch, unfortunately. So I had to free up some funds, and he was the one that got sacrificed. For the likes of Liddy, just another cash generating rookie. I think his job security is pretty fine. Obviously, that -10 break even as well is lovely. Clark, again, to free up numbers. He's done his job as a rookie. I don't sort of see him scoring much over 50 or 60 for the rest of the season. So a break even of 35, already at 460k on the buy. Thanks for the cash. Angus, I'll move him on. And keeping Johnson as well, just because he's got a break even of 9. I think that's pretty, gettable for Zach. And finally, Bolton goes out as well. He was a bit of a short-term punt. Got me 1 good score, 2 that didn't come into calculations. So, in favour of Mills. So he was one that we were all, looking at pre-season before his injury, seeing his average, 100s, 110s previous. He's not getting that same midfield role with his, 8 or 9 tackles per game and things like that. But he's playing off, he's playing in defence, getting his marks, pushing people away for kick-outs, which we love to see, and just being hungry for the ball. He's really, really passed the eye test. I wanted to go early on him last week, and actually probably would have been a good thing if I did. I'll see him, getting more of those in my team this round. And finally, I've had to pull the trigger on Matthew Kennedy eventually. I just needed a forward, and he's the best looking forward, apart from maybe Bailey Smith this season. And he is just an absolute lock in there. I know that I'll quickly flash it up in my 12 commandments of it. I've got in there round 9, thou shalt not luxury trade into rolling 22 players at no value just because of form. And that's exactly what I'm doing. But it's not just form for this guy. This is, his basement score. What's his lowest score been in the last few weeks? His lowest score's been a 107 in the last, almost. Is that 10 weeks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 9 weeks. 10 if you include the bye. So he just has to be there. Has that great mix of inside and outside game where he's not only getting the ball in the midfield and getting those tackles and handballs, clearances, etc., but he's also bobbing on the outside, taking marks, getting +6s, kicking goals, and he won't get any tag attention as well. So he's in there. And that's how my team is lining up going into this round. How many have I got then? That makes it 5, 7, 15, 21. So 21 best 18. So 3 of those scores will sit out. I've had to hold on to Short. I just haven't had a chance of getting rid of him. My team value's been in the dumps. But, look, hopefully he can get a good game in against Adelaide. I don't know. I'm not overly optimistic on him. He'll probably even be out next round before we get into actual rolling 22. But, he's in there. For me, now I suppose we'll start off by looking at the who's on the bye, which obviously, as we'll pull up now, is Brisbane, Geelong, Essendon, and GWS. So over their players, I suppose we'll sort it just by who the most most owned guys are from those teams. Jordan Dawson, who I don't have, that's going to be a scary watch, but I think I can get him cheaper with a 133 break even if it is against Richmond, and they might put him forward or rest him or something. It's my sort of, not even reasoning, for my cope for not owning Dawson. Decent-ish finish to the season as well. He will be a top 8 player. But anyway, sorry, kind of gone a little bit off track. Lions, who are you trading out? Well, Levi's made his money. Will Ashcroft you can get rid of. Dunkley is an interesting one because he's had a few of those, sub 100 scores and had that big 124 actually playing a midfield role last week against the Cats. I personally would keep if you could. He's not a must trade out, but if you need to free up, obviously, if you need to free up funds like me with Merritt, here's one that you could get rid of. Loman, he's made your money. Yeah, big 84 last week. He might have even been in your best 22 for that week if you haven't traded him out already. Again, you can keep him or can sell him. I'm not being real helpful in this video, I must say, but yeah, 29 break even. I suppose he will keep making money, but if you need players, he can go. And that's pretty much it for the Lions. I suppose Zorko's there. He's an easy keep. He's a fantastic watch. He's the opposite of a hard watch. He's an easy watch. It's fantastic the way he goes about it. And yeah, that's about it for them. Obviously, Levi's made his money and he is going the other way now. High break even. So you can get rid of him too. I suppose if anyone had Neil, you can get rid of him as well. He's not going to be a keeper. Look at that. Just how many is that? 17 disposals against the Cats. Just shows how much attention teams are putting into him. So on to Geelong. So, gets a little bit more interesting. Smith is a keep. He'll be, best 6 forwards. Already averaging the most, I think. So he's easy keep. Holmes, I would be keeping. Just with how those defender mids are sort of stacking up as well. Defense is where you want to be. I think the 6th best defender at the moment is averaging is it 106? And then the 8th best mid is averaging 102 or something. So there could be defender mids duel that you have to put into your midfield as well. So for that reason, here's one I'd be holding on to as well, not trading him out. Myers had a shocker on the weekend against the Lions on Friday night. But again, easy draw as well. I'd be keeping him. He's a chance of getting top 6 forwards. Who's that going to be? Top 6 forwards. So you have your, as you can see down here, Smith, Martin, Kennedy, Jackson, I think will be top 6. Petrarca. So that's 5. And I don't know how many other forwards there would be knocking on the door. Maybe McRae is in there as well. Maybe his name's escaping me. Horn Francis, that's it. Maybe him. But yeah, Myers I'd be holding on to anyway. Rest of the guys here. Stewart, I don't think he's going to be a keeper. You can get rid of him and upgrade on him as well. And that's that for the Cats. Essendon is where it gets really interesting now. So Clark, as you see, I'm getting rid of. You can. I'm very happy with that. If you're in a luxurious enough position to get rid of Zach Johnson with a break-even of 9, I suppose is at 440k, and we're sort of streamlining into that best 22 point of the season. So you can get rid of him as well if he's not needed. Now, Merritt is tough because I do think they'll have the bye. Brad Scott will have a second to sort of reset and go, okay, we've been getting pumped when Merritt is not in the midfield. Let's do it. Let's get him in there. We need to start winning games again. And yeah, he should go back in there, I would imagine. But that said, I never thought he would have been thrown out in the first place. He's got another game against Richmond, which he scored nearly 150 against earlier in the season. And some pretty good matchups in there for inside mids as well. So he's one I would have loved to keep. I really would have. But if you can't like me, then yeah, he's one that you do have to get rid of. Who else would people have? Maybe Day Wicks and not this guy. How's that guy? Yeah, Day Wicks and Archer May. May you should be keeping with a -10 break even, that's for sure. Same with Lual. He's a fun watch on the field as well. Loves a tackle. Up and about young kid. Vigo, again. That's a good trade if anyone traded him in. Caldwell's a keeper. You keep him in. He's not getting the tag and he's just a great watch. But that's getting to your real sort of point of difference players from there. So that's Essendon for you. I've just realised I haven't been on the screen with the players. We've just been looking for the... Alright, sorry about that. I had to just get the actual fantasy website on the screen. Anywho, onto the Giants now is in a lot more interesting one. Whitfield, I'm never one that celebrates an injury, especially a concussion, with how sort of serious they can be. But obviously just feel for all the Whitfield owners out there, off on a 23, especially the ones that captained him against Gold Coast. As a good matchup as a halfback as well. He was playing his role, and just a real unfortunate one. Break even of 151 now. I think this affects the non-Whitfield owners more than the Whitfield owners in terms of that break even, because if you're an owner, you just hold him. He'll be a top 6 defender for sure, especially with his role back, it looked like. He'll just drop a bit more price. It's not going to be enough of a price drop to warrant trading him out and then back in, just using 2 trades on it, I don't think. You just hold him and hope he gets back to his best. Lockie Ash, keeper, he should be there as well. He just hasn't stopped. He's like Kennedy, except I didn't trade Kennedy out in round 2 and miss out on all those points. That's just such a fucking yikes. That's derailed my season, really. Madden you hold, he can just sit there on your bench, a bit like Boyd for me. Roaston, obviously, you hold, neg 21, great couple of games he's put together in there. For Harry, Callahan is an interesting one, because he's not your typical fantasy midfielder that you want, but at the moment he's doing enough. I'd feel much more comfortable holding on to a Tom Green than a Finn Callahan at the moment, especially off that bigger score as well. West Coast next up. Maybe you just hold it until the West Coast ones for a lot of these Giants players. So pretty much there's a bit of a, it does it for the Giants. There's a bit of an underlying sort of rule going on with these players, and that's just, if they're a premium and you see them being a keeper, you hold them. If they're a rookie who's got a low break even, you keep them. They'll keep making cash. But if they're a mid-price and not going to be in the rolling 22, losing cash, change of role like merit, anything like that, those are the ones that you want to be trading out. So I suppose that sort of section on the teams on the bye is done. Why don't we get a look at previewing the actual games we have coming up, as I put that on the screen now. Whoa, hello, I am small. Let's fix that up. So, game 1, Port v Carlton. Both teams not coming off the bye, although I should touch on that though. Adelaide Hawks, Melbourne and West Coast coming off the bye. Run over it quickly. McCarthy is a must trade in. He might even be close enough to those rolling 22 players to keep, and at a rookie price, low break even. If he has a change, or an injury, you can trade him out. He's absolutely fantastic for the West Coast Eagles. Other than that, not a real lot else going for them, both in fantasy and on the field. Duar, not Dua for those new around here, Duar, he will be a interesting one to see how he goes, because he did have a big score. It was against Brisbane, I think, at the Gabba. 89, and we thought, is this going to be him? But no, drop back down. He's doing that same thing again, off half back. Obviously, this was around the period that, oh my god, what's his name? How am I forgetting his name? Marich was scoring really well, but Marich has lost his role, so maybe it's different this time, but I'm still not confident enough. It's an awkward price. I think it'll be something similar to Hardiman, where you get excited over one or a few good scores and get absolutely burnt by him. So he's not one I would be trading in. I would just, be looking nicely at Tom McCarthy there. He's a much better option and, should be the most traded in player. He was the most traded in player last week. Just looking at Elijah Hewitt here, because a lot of us were looking at him for the start of the season. And he's put together a few nice scores in recent, up to 622k. Anyway, sidetracked again. Jeez. We'll go backwards into Melbourne now. So, Gawn I kept. Too expensive to trade in. He's at top price. And, look at that run. Witt's the hardest ruckman to score against. Into O'Brien, who's the third hardest, and then Sherry, who's the second hardest, if my statistics are correct. So he's not a trade-in. I held him out of necessity more than anything. And, he'll be hopefully scoring the same as he is now. I just couldn't trade out a player, knocking out these scores, to be honest. And it's Max Gawn at the end of the day. You keep on him, Petrarca keep, hopefully be a best 22, top 6 forward if you hold on to him. Langford's made his money. Oliver, won't be best 22, obviously. Pickett, similar to Rankin, similar to Bolton. You just don't trust their sort of midfield roles around there. Lindsay's made his money. Bowie's on the decline. And that's, about it for the top-owned Melbourne players, I suppose, in case I'm not missing anyone else. Hawthorn is a bit of a shorter one. I know that I've got Sam Butler in. Break even of 8. Now, here's a really, really interesting one to ponder. So, Dylan Moore. We thought start of the year he was going to be an easy top 6 forward, maybe even top 3, top 2. He's now got a bit of a role change back. If you look at his previous scores there, starting with Richmond, 11 touches for 42, 15 against Brisbane, 18 against Collingwood. He's notched up a 26 disposal game and a 23 disposal game. I've got his marks. Look at that, 13 tackles in the wet against Adelaide, I suppose. Can't look too much into that. Is he kicking goals? No, not as much, so he's not playing as much time forward, you'd imagine. He's got North next week. I don't know. He could be... I'm all for trading him in, and I actually, thinking of it now, might have a live trade reshuffle to try and get Kennedy at more value, especially with where my team's at, and look to getting more cheap off the buy, down 136k. That might be a move. Be able to keep Merritt, get rid of Short, play one short. I didn't mean to do that, but play one player short and get rid of the Richmond backman. Just cop it for this week and then have Merritt still in there and hope for a role change. Just because I'm still really hot on Merritt, I just think they will change him back. So that's the real big one for Hawthorn, the big sort of trade-in. And other than that, I really don't think there's anything else. So Butler's in my team down there as well. He's break-even of 8, playing fantastic footy. And I'll have a look at Seamus Mitchell, because I think he might have been sub against Adelaide. So I think if you went Butler over Mitchell, at the moment it's looking like you made the right play. And finally, on to Adelaide, where things get interesting. Rankin, you hopefully should have traded out going into the bye. If not, get him out now. I don't think he'll be a top 6. His midfield minutes, and there's a direct correlation with his centre bounce attendances to his points. And if centre bounces have been down, means his points are going to be down. He's going to start losing cash rapidly as well, so just can't go there for me, and Richmond is a bad matchup for him historically. Dawson, I would love, love, love to have. Jeez, look at those scores that I've missed out on. Is his lowest score for the season? Yeah, 78, 85. That's insane consistency, and he's got Richmond next as well. But I think still a high break even in an easy matchup. You can hopefully get him cheaper, is what I'm holding on to, and get him in next week or the week after or whenever it is. But you will need him at some point, especially in the best 22 when you won't get away with those, crappy rookie scores on field. Is what's going on there. Sam Berry, you could easily trade out. Break even 47. His time on ground's a worry. I don't know. He feasted against West Coast in an absolute smashing there, so he might feast against Richmond as well. Would be the case for that. But if you're like me and not in a luxury position, he's one that you just hold on to. Don't know who else is really relevant from Adelaide. Yeah, I suppose we'll keep it at that. And with that said, we'll go back into the fixtures. What you've all sort of been coming for, I imagine, is what's happening next week. And I will say, as I put my lovely face back on the screen for the people watching on YouTube, I'm going to be doing, and I'll announce it on Twitter just there, but I'm going to be doing a watch along for the first game of the round, which is obviously Port v Carlton, which should hopefully be the best match of the round, if not Swans v Bulldogs. I might even do 2 if I can, to be honest, but we'll see how it goes. I'll put it out, the link and everything there. If that's something you're interested in, just staying at home, and we'll talk fantasy while we're there as well. We get a good crowd in, which, you love to see. So I'll put that on the agenda while I've got you all sort of here to tune into that Thursday, possibly Friday night. And those are going to be the 2 best games of the weekend. So we'll get I don't know why it's making me so small in these. Look, I feel like I should be talking in a high-pitched voice on the YouTube. But as we come back and look into the fixtures here. Port v Carlton. So who are the big players in here? So it is your Liddies, if you're like me, just trading him in. We'll start with Port, I suppose. So Horn Francis back from that injury. 102 break even. He didn't perform against Sydney. I think he's one you can just let go until he puts out a really big score, proves that his body's absolutely fine. And 102 break even. Still, like I said, he's gotten cheap in like 700. Jesus. And he could be a luxury little mid-price trade-in for you there. Maybe trade him in for like West Coast in round 18 or something. That'd be a lovely one to get him in for. Butters, it's getting a bit expensive now. That discount on him is pretty well toast. I don't think he'll get tagged, which is something we need to talk about with Rosie. But I still like the trade if that's somewhere that you want to go. He'll still make you money as well. You're getting him at a discount. Jackson back in the squad. Back in the lineup, actually, because we have those available. Let's have a look at those while we're here. Oh, okay. AFL app is just doing AFL website things, I suppose. It's not showing us the lineups, but regardless, Jackson's back in, but he'll probably be a sub again, so you can't go him and trade him out if you can. Bergman dropped to 52 and is an interesting one. I always preferred in that frame your McKerchers, even your Sam Darcy's, your Doherty's, Mills over him, just because I knew that he has that sort of potential to be pushed back if need be, which looks like that's what happened against Sydney, and just got absolutely none of it. So his time is sort of done, I think, for 800k. Yeah, he's someone you could even jump off if you were in the position to. And that sort of wraps it up for them. Aside from Rosie, sorry, I should probably touch on, because he is a premium. He is a keeper, but he's against one of the better, if not the best, half-back tagging players in the likes of Chincotta, who will, I imagine, try to keep his impact down. So I think you could let him go for this week, let him lose a bit more cash and pick him up when he has a friendlier matchup, or even when he's against West Coast, like I mentioned in round 18. Onto Carlton. I don't really know who we look at here. It should be a quick one. DeConnick is, the sole ruckman, I think. Sorry, did I just see? Yeah, Pitnet omitted, so he will go back in there, DeConnick. I'm not sure how many people still have him, but he'll be there. Chera, I mean, I suppose you just keep riding the wave with him. I don't know why I'd trade him out. 2 120 pluses and 3 107 pluses in his last 5. So, yeah, there's no real reason to touch him. He's gone really well, and, man, would I have loved to pick him up for, 700 odd K at the start of the season now. Damn. Doherty's there. He had a big score against North, getting all that service. He's not a trade in for me, but he's not a trade out either. I think that's just a round of applause for anyone that went with him. Hewitt is the same. He'll bounce back, I imagine. Just keep a watch on him. And there's not a lot else to touch on, really, from that game. Any captains or vice captains, I suppose? No, not for me. There's a lot bigger players that you could be looking at for then. So it takes us to Sydney versus the Western Bulldogs. So Sydney, obviously the first guy that I can't wait to talk about again is in our Callum Mills. So yeah, breaking even to 63, he'll be getting points. Competitive matchup, so they'll be looking for him as well. He'll be getting kick-outs if Bulldogs are scoring behind, things like that. So he's a lovely one. He's almost even a discounted premium. I suppose he's only played, 2 games since his injury, but he's really looking in that territory just from the eyes. Chad Warner, God, he's in that battle with McRae and whoever else for that final F6 spot. Yeah, more. But I've said it since, people started trading him in around that round 12 sort of mark. He's just not a fantasy relevant player. He gets the hard balls, does the hard work that doesn't get points, and yeah, he's losing cash. He's even a trade out for mine, if you have the luxury to do so. 888k, him to Dylan Moore. That's an excellent trade. I can easily tick that one off. Roberts and Bice, I suppose you can group them up. Their impact's getting way resisted now that Mills is back. They're telling him to get off his kick ins, and yeah, look, that Bice was even sub against Port last week, so easy sort of decisions there for them. Corey Warner, Sheldrick as well. Those are the types of players who are starting to jump off now. He still has a little bit of money to make, but you want those big players in now, which I wish I took my own advice earlier in the season around that. But anyway, Grundy's gone massive. Let me read out his last few scores. Gone 115, 111, 134, 124, 139, and 121. God, he's in the conversation for being a final 2 ruck. I still think Gawn is ahead of everyone. And then the last one could be anyone from a Jerry to a Cameron to, Grundy to anyone. There's so many that it could be. So, good watch on him. I think it's not worth wasting a sideways trade on your ruck, since I imagine we'll all have really good ones. Heaney's there, not really fantasy relevant, I suppose. Won't be a midfielder, don't touch him. I spent a lot of time on them. Wow. Over to the Western Bulldogs. So with them, Sam Darcy, a whole bunch of people have been trading in. I'm a very analytically minded man, and the analytically minded man says, do not trade in key forward who does not get centre bounces, apart from when he's in the ruck, I suppose, but does not get other general sort of midfield time. It is bad. They will have a game where they get 13 disposals and a goal for a, 50. But this guy's just different, isn't he? He's just absolutely outstanding. Huge marks, 390 centimetres above the ground where he's taking the ball. It's just utterly ridiculous. He's gone up in price. He'll be in the conversation for that best six forwards. He's got Sydney and North in his next two. Could kick bloody, 10 goals across the two games. So, look, I'm not going there personally, but I'm 100% supportive if that's something you guys want to do. Same with Kennedy. I think I'm going to reverse that trade now with how that's panning out. Just because he's not at value, but if your team is in a better state than mine, which I hope it is, he's someone that you can definitely go for the Dogs. And other than that, you should have your Davidsons, your Sanders, those types out of your game. English, sorry, I forgot to mention him, I suppose. He's gone. God, what's he average? If I can do some quick math here, 259, 267, 293, 97, I think. Anywho, he's averaging about 130, I'd say. Maybe even 130 plus across his last three. I think he's back. Harder matchups his next three against Grundy, Sherry, and O'Brien. So, again, I wouldn't trade him in, but congrats if you have him. He's gone good. And not a lot else to really touch on the Dogs. That's that game. Bond. So what the fuck, bruh? That was stupid. Alright, Bond. He's there. 959k. He will be a top 8 midfielder. He's got Sydney North next to. He's bounced back. I think you can give it one more week. I think out of him and Kennedy, I'd be more inclined to go Kennedy because he's a forward. I know, I'll hold my hands up. Shouldn't get tagged, but he's there. I think, you have to get him at some stage. So, I don't know. If you've got Kennedy, you can grab him. Still offers buy. A lot to like. It's Bontempelli after all. Bailey Dale, I can't go into just because he'll drop these scores for you. Look at these scores that he can get. A 63, 68, 69, 64. Only got an 87 against Richmond, spending the last 15 minutes on the bench. And now he's coming up against James Jordan, who will sit on him, you would imagine. So, don't like it. I don't think he'll be a top 6 defender, to be honest. And we'll leave it at that for those guys. On to Saturday's games. Gold Coast v Melbourne. Melbourne obviously off the bye. We talked about them a little bit earlier. Gold Coast, not an overly relevant team, I don't think. Anderson still underpriced. He's at value. I still think he has too much inside time, but if you disagree with that, he dropped a 60 against the Cats, a couple of 70s and 80s in there, but also a couple of 110 pluses, so it could be knocking on the door. I would still look elsewhere for that price, though. Don't know what else, really. Noble's had his time. Raul is not particularly fantasy relevant in my opinion, just because he's got all that inside game, all those tackles. He's not going to be getting you marks, really on an average day. And he's all about the hard grunt in and under there. No one else I really like, to be honest. A couple of people raving about Jared Witts. After his 138 against a kid for GWS, so I'm not looking too much into that for Witsy. And I'm not a lot there from Gold Coast, to be honest. Probably Anderson, and that's about it, which I don't particularly like for it. On to Hawthorn, who we touched on, versus North. So, I think a big question with North is, can you still get Colby and get McKercher in at 700k? And I say yes. He is smashing it in his defensive role. 91, 85, 99. Priced at, what's that? High 60s, low 70s. And break even still down 47, so he'll be making you money as well. And this is where I think Pink had the footy at some stage in the game against Carlton. Colby's ran around it, calling yes, give me the handball, and he hasn't. So even with those, I think he'll get a bit more respect, and they'll start giving those handballs. I think he could score even higher, maybe high 80s, low 90s. Keep that consistently there. For McKercher, Sheasel is a keeper. He's still at value as well. He's one that you need, so he's a big trade target there if you need him. Hardiman, if you haven't traded him out already, get him gone. I suppose a quick take on him. Caleb Daniel has been getting a little bit more of it. It's got a 76, and that was with Chincotta on him. Chincotta staying on Daniel. He's not doing damage. He's just racking up. So that annoyed me a little bit. He's one that he's not an immediate trade out because his role is still there with Sheasel getting out of that line. I think McKercher is their main guy though. So he's certainly not a trade in, but not a trade out. And he's in the mix to that F6 spot. Am I about to say something stupid? Maybe, but I would still prefer him over Sam Darcy, just because he's going to get the footy. He'll get his kick-ins, cheap marks, cheap ball back there, rather than, Darcy, one bad game for him, and he's bottoming out with a 40 or 50. So I'd still prefer him in the form of Caleb Daniel, personally. Is there much else, really? Finn Sullivan's still doing okay. He's getting a bit more involved, but he's at that price and at that break even where you can trade him out. Don't know a lot else, really. No one else in the... I suppose Jerry, obviously. You keep him. He's in the mix for Ruck 2, although his break-even's nearly at 150, and he had a tough one against DeConig. Got a bit of an easier run coming up before he runs into Gorn and Grundy in rounds 18 and 19, but I still think he'll get the job done. Good player he is, and that's about it, I think, for the Kangas. Takes us to the next Saturday game, the final Saturday game in Collingwood versus West Coast. So this should be an annihilation in favour of Collingwood. So who are you trying to cash in on here? Well, Nick Dacos, who I say everyone should have, maybe not with these tags going around, but West Coast don't typically tag, and this is the type of game you'd see Nick explode. So I'm a big fan of running him there. Josh, you can trade in. He's still at value, I think. He's in that, D6/M8 conversation, so I'm fine with him coming in, and that actually might be it for the Pies. I suppose Darcy Cameron's doing his thing as a R2 possibility. Ned Long Now, a lot of people are asking if you'd just be able to hold Ned Long all the way till the end of the season. And at that point, I was okay with the idea because he was still making money and, things like that. But then he dropped to 76 against St Kilda, playing real inside and sort of reminding us, why he might not be that. So he's one that you can trade out as a luxury. You don't have to keep on to him. I do at the minute just out of necessity. But yeah, he'll be there for that. I think that's all with the Pies. West Coast we discussed before around McCarthy. He's a must get. You shape your trades around him this week. Bit like Jackson last week, and look how that went. So yeah, got to go with McCarthy in there. First Sunday game, Richmond v Adelaide, similar to the previous game. This should be an absolute drubbing for Adelaide, as I touched on. Dawson, this could come back to completely bite me, but I think you can still wait a week. I think he'll take it a bit easier in this game, even if it is off the bye. He might sit key forward, you never know with him, that kind of thing. So he will be a keeper, but I think you can wait one more week on him. Rankin is at that awkward price, not going to be in F6, so you can get rid of him. Anyone else for Adelaide, really? I suppose we did touch on them earlier. Oh, yeah, Berry. Can trade him out. Probably should trade him out. I've got to keep him, and maybe he'll surprise us against the Tigers, who's our next team. And there's, thin for them. I suppose it's just all about the rookies, really. Trainer's a trade out. Lawler's injured. Campbell Gray. Keep on him. Break even of 3 if he plays, that is. Caleb Smith. Yeah, break even of 15. You can hold on to him. Taranto's not going to be top 8. Prestia, I saw a few people toiling with the idea of, and a 55 against the Dogs is exactly why you don't have him. Nank isn't doing good enough to threaten a spot. Short's come back from injury, but still going to lose cash. Yeah, I think it's a no-go for me with the Tigers. And then the last game of the round, of course, is going to be Fremantle versus St Kilda. We know what happened in the last game when these two teams played, but I don't think that's going to happen again. We look at the likes of Nazaya Wanganeen-Millerer. He's a keeper. He's getting tons and tons of points. God, I said the start season he'd average 100 to 105. He's blown that out of the water, so he's a must grab. Sinclair. He's doing a bit of a Dale where he just drops these random 60s at any real time, and 133 break even. I wouldn't be trading into him, but again, you keep him. He's in that mix. Defender mid-duel as well, if you still have him. Marshall's still up there for that second ruck spot. Goodness me, he came home flying last season as well after his bye. Decent enough fixture run for him, so that's one to watch for Marshall. Now McRae, who I keep referring to as F6, is at 917k. I think people are forgetting that even before his injury, he had one score above 100 in his last 7 games before he got injured. So I need to see more from him before I trade him in. 104 against the Pies is great. But yeah, you want to be trading in those guys you're pretty much guaranteed to be keeping for the rest of the season. Rookie-wise, Taru is okay. I suppose, you want to hold on to him, I guess. Aquila. It's just a few of those, rookies there. Sinclair just isn't getting enough of the footy this season to be considered a keeper, I don't think. Filippo with that injury and warm-ups, man, that's a season ender if you took the chance on him and picked him up. Yeah, obviously that 2 against Melbourne as well. It's been a tough season for Mateus, but we'll look for him in 2026 when he's hopefully back fit and firing. And that's all for the Saints, and that's all for the games, I suppose. So I'll give my quick sort of tips, I suppose. So I'll take Port at home over Carlton by 2 goals. I don't think it'll be that one-sided. Take the Dogs in their current form. I think this could be another blowout. I'm going to say by 4 goals for the Dogs. Suns over Melbourne by 4 goals as well, yeah. Hawthorn against North by 4. How about we just make every game 4 got... Okay, Collingwood versus West Coast. That will be 40 points, you'd imagine, even 50. I think I'm being quite generous there. MCG, Richmond v Adelaide. Richmond are in struggle street right now, and they're just, those big losses we thought they'd get start of the season are starting to pile up. So I'll say, Crows by 6 goals, and then I'll say Fremantle bounces back against St Kilda by 4 goals as well. Why not? That's been the sort of flavour of today. So I suppose before I let everyone go, I will quickly take a minute to go over my personal favourite segment of these episodes, and that is of my Hall of Lame. So there were a few contenders in this week, which I love to see personally. I think there was a Carlton child crying in the crowd, which I personally absolutely love to see. And yeah, those sorts of things happening. But I decided that I couldn't decide who it was going to be, so I went with 2 this week, which is a little controversial. But this week I decided, well, firstly, to go with Jed Walters' not run-up, his walk-up, to then kicking a behind from about 20 metres out on a slide angle. Dimmer hated that, and I know my mate Nathan would have hated it too. He's someone that big adjudicator of just go through your motions. It's routine, and you'll put it through. I agree now. I'm usually someone, I play a bit of footy myself, that is able to get away with those kind of things. But in this case, no, you've just got to just go through it, kick your goal, same with usual, and go from there. And the second one, actually, I'll just check something out. Okay, sorry about that, we're back. But the second one is AFL fantasy Twitter. So I've thought about how I'm going to say this, but I'm not going to point any fingers or use any names. But there was an incident over one of the nicest guys in AFL and Supercoach sort of actually might get us off, because it's quite someone I'm quite passionate about, just having a laugh and a joke, who got personally sort of ripped into with no real reasoning by one of the bigger AFL fantasy sort of figures, and by now you probably have figured out who I'm talking about. And I think fantasy is just a place where we want as many people playing as possible and just having fun, having a laugh, having a joke. Nothing personal, and I think it put a real sort of stain on it. You see people, new players and whatnot, asking what we might think are silly questions, maybe getting abused and given a rough time on social media, and I think we want it to be a place where everyone wants to be come footy season, because at the end of the day, the more players we have playing, the better the rewards are going to be, the more unique teams are going to be, and yeah, just the bigger of a community we're going to have. So yeah, that put a real sour taste in my mouth hearing about that. Thankfully, it's all been resolved from what we hear from, I was about to say from both of them, from the main one of the guys involved, and yeah, I'm glad it's all sorted. But I just think it's sort of my Hall of Lame, and it is the lamest of lame. Just being a dick on social media. I think, yeah, just remember to be nice to everyone on there. For the 99% of the time, I love the fantasy community and all the collaboration we have from all the, just regular players as well as the sort of influencers, I suppose, and the laughs and the jokes we have there. But it's just, yeah, sort of want to use the platform as a little reminder to just be kind to everyone, regardless of, if they have differences in thoughts or opinions and whatnot, and just, yeah, make fantasy an awesome place to come to. So with that sort of serious segment over, here's how our Hall of Lame is really sitting. I've got me in there a couple times. We've got Ross. He's been saying some dumb things as of late. He said, God, I could have put him in again with, him challenging the Windhager free kicks that were clearly there. And I'm someone that's quite hard on Dacos free kicks and that loves a tag, but he's just lost the plot, has Ross. We've got Stephen May in there for shouting at Gorn. We've got a couple of easy goal misses, a couple teams not performing to their best, and yeah, a few rounds left, few spots left. We might have to crown a all-time Hall of Lame winner at the end of it. And God, I don't really have much left to say. I suppose captains and vice captains maybe, as I put my team back on the screen. Other than join me for our two watch-alongs, they're hopefully there. Why am I always tiny? Okay, there we go. That are there. We had a little look at the commandments there, and yeah, it's been a really good time, I suppose. Yeah, vice captains and captains for this week. There's gonna be some absolute smashings, you'd imagine, in it. So I'm all for a Dacos against West Coast. He's not gonna get tagged. They don't really tag out of them, so he's someone that you can chuck your vice on. Who else? Yeah, Dawson against Richmond could go massive, even though he's not in my team. Unfortunately, yeah. Brayshaw, although Brayshaw's a bit of a risk in case for some reason they send Windhager to him over Sarong. So he's one to keep a watch on. And yeah, other than that, I'll hopefully see you all for the watch-alongs. I saw Supercoach Maverick pop his head in and just there on the Supercoach team. So go check them out if you haven't already. The Supercoach guys on Insight, they're smashing it. I think they've got the third highest league there as well. So we'll have to get a league up and running for next year with all the Insight fans. Raise a really big thing around that. Follow the Twitter there. If you're listening on audio, it's at BK_IFS for Insight Fantasy Sports. And yeah, until the next one, guys, I'm going to go put Dylan Moore into my team. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.